Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from our sponsor. The Daily Compliance News for October 11, 2022, the Rethink edition. And that is our lead story from TechCrunch.com, a first-time contributor to the Daily Compliance News. Reports the UK government has confirmed another pause to draft digital legislation under the new trust regime, saying the data reform bill it introduced in recent months is on hold while ministers take another look at scuttling GDPR. The paused bill contained a package of amendments focused on a pan-European framework, and of course, that's not what the Tory government wants. The new Secretary of State for Digital, Michelle Donnellan, gave over the first chunk of her recent speech to the Conservative Party, saying it would be replacing GDPR to make it our own business and consumer-friendly British data protection system. So it sounds like another excuse to cut back on GDPR. It'll be interesting to see the EU response. Next up, from Cordery Compliance, there is a client alert about the Ireland fine against the company formerly known as Facebook, now known as Meta, which was fined £405 million for Instagram data protection infringements. It's announced that Meta is appealing this fine, and as Jonathan Armstrong, partner at Cordery Compliance, notes, the appeal success is fairly high. So Meta may get some relief on the overall fine. From the Financial Times, whistleblowers accuse EY of whitewashing suspicious trades at a long-standing client. 2 trades created for a workers' comp and a mystery €120,000 payment are central to an internal lending row at Liontech. And whistleblowers have alleged both money laundering and tax evasion but were overlooked by EU. At the heart of the whistleblower complaints are 2 trades for 2 French companies. The whistleblower said the trade should have been reported to French authorities as suspicious on the grounds of money laundering and tax evasion. And finally, from the FCPA blog, an article which posits from the 11th Basel AML Index review that corruption and money laundering are destroying the planet. And if you wonder why you should support ESG from the compliance perspective, it's certainly right that corruption is leading to much climate damage, particularly in the environmental space in developing countries, and that money laundering is abetting the payment of bribes going forward. So anti-corruption supports ESG. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.